So, what I wanted to ask you guys, because so many times as parents, once we have a kid, we say, okay, we'll wait a year, then we'll travel, then we're off the bottles, then it's easier. Or, you know what, let's wait for 2 years or at least 6 months till we start solid. So, when it comes to that, do you feel there is the right age where it's finally okay to travel with kids?
I feel that the right age is when you're ready to travel with your child. So there is no, you cannot define that. It cannot be 3 months, it cannot be 6 months or 1 year. It has to be when you feel it is okay, when you're confident enough to travel with your child. Like I traveled with my child when my daughter was 3 months old, and I did feel like it wasn't as easy as it was when I traveled without my child. But then by the time she was 5 months, it was much smoother. Some people even travel with their kids when they're as young as a month. So I think you cannot put a tab on when they can. It's when you feel that you're completely ready and you're okay to travel with your child.
But in my opinion, the sooner you start, you get more confident. Like maybe started with baby steps, maybe like a 2 hours journey somewhere. But the sooner you start, and especially someone who's marking it as when solid start, I would say start before the solid.
Actually, so even me, like I'm a child nutritionist. So even when people are saying, when should we travel? Because also when you start foods, it's like another meal you have to add on and
Yes.
all of that. And so I feel like for parents, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be a reason to be like, okay, let's wait, or let's wait till they're off diapers. There's always something. So I like that you guys are saying it's when you are ready as a parent to actually get into it. And what about traveling without kids? Like for example, when my twins and when they were 6 months, my husband and I, we went for my 30th birthday. And during the trip, my daughter fell ill. And then obviously that mom guilt came in, and I said I shouldn't have left. I felt so bad. Now that I look back, would I have done it? I think you can't base your decisions on what might happen, I think.
Right.
But do you feel also, would you have the same answer for when is the right time to travel without kids?
The mom guilt creeps in every time. Yesterday, I came back I was on a work trip, and my older one fell sick. And I was feeling so guilty that I'm not there. So it's never ending. You always feel guilty when you're not there, but there are some times that you have to travel. And if it's leisure, you might feel a little more guilty perhaps, but I think it's okay.
Yeah. But I do that. I feel that since the time my daughter was born, I extensively travel for work. Like travel with it keeps me away for almost literally 2 weekends a month. But I make sure that I take a break for myself every year. Like without a fail, I go out with my girls. I like do like
Hmm.
a nice trip, but it's mandatory for me. Like it's non-negotiable. I feel as much as traveling with your child is important, it is also important to take out that time for yourself.
And how do we handle this mom guilt? Like, what advice would you give to parents in terms of how to feel okay about it?
I feel that you just have to tell yourself that you're the best version of the mom that you are to your child, and you are doing your best. So even if you take out the time for yourself, it is okay. Like most of the time, probably 90% of the time, I don't let mom guilt creep in because I truly believe that I'm doing the best that I am. But I know like all of us at the end of the day are moms, and if something goes wrong here and there, especially with our kids, everything falls apart, and we blame ourselves a lot. But I think we just need to tell ourselves that it's okay for us to think about ourselves, so maybe put ourselves first at times.
It's also about the support you have back home. If you
Yeah.
think that they are in good hands, you'll probably feel a little less guilty.
Yes.
So I want to ask you guys, what is the benefit of traveling with kids? So I understand now you're saying it's like when we are mentally ready, we have the right mindset, we have a good support system for us to travel on our own. But when it comes to traveling with kids, because I know that a lot of times we feel like, is it worth it? Will our kids remember anything? I think that's the biggest thing I've heard people say. They won't remember. What's the point? So, is there a point? I mean, I'm sure there is. Could you tell us what the point is? The benefits of traveling with kids so early on?
So kids become very adaptive. I mean, you'll see a different version of your child at every age when they are traveling with you. Sometimes they'll just adjust to whatever the routine is. They'll maybe become helping when they are at an age of 5 or 6. And the bond, I mean, every trip, you can't leave your child and go. So when you take your kids, you form a different kind of bond and you see the whole world in a very new perspective. Even if there's a place that you've been to and you go there again with your child, you'll notice so many new things that you probably yourself won't, because there's some rawness and innocence that comes in when the kids are traveling with you.
The most important part for me is the bond that you connect so much with your kids, and there's so much learning on the go. Like, even if you look at the education system, like, it's not just the four walls. You learn so much beyond those four walls, and they pick up so much. You might feel that they're not, but they absorb. Like they say, the kid's mind is an absorbent mind. They absorb so much from the surrounding. It could be the culture, it could be little things, and that stays on with them. And like how you asked me, the kid would not remember anything, but I would remember everything, and that memory would be etched in my heart forever. So probably, like, I still have the memory of my first trip with my 3 month old baby girl, and that makes it special.
It's like doing something for yourself, but also taking your child. So you're making memories with them.
I sometimes I'm so amazed that my daughter was just 2.5 to 3 years, but she still somehow remembers. Like, her birthday wish was that she wanted to see snow when she turned 3, and we planned a birthday around that. And she still, I don't know how, like, we took her to Himachal, and then there was snow, and she was blessed that we had snowfall during that trip, even in late Feb. And we went to an igloo. I don't know, she still talks about, what, I sat in that igloo. And there are some things that still remain with them. They might not remember 100%, but even if she remembers 10% or 1%, it's a win situation.
Good thing about technology, you can show them pictures and they'll be amazed, oh, they were that tiny and they were there.
Yeah, and even that day we had a podcast episode with the early child development coach, and she was saying that the best way that kids learn is through their surroundings. So
Yes.
of course, if your kid is just at home, there's so much limited things. And she said, of course, you use flashcards, all of that, but imagine showing a flashcard of snow and then actually taking them. So it's their senses that they're interacting with. So from my understanding, traveling with kids early is great because they actually learn from their surroundings and use their senses, and that actually helps them to grow.
True.
Especially is the 0 to 6 year is the absorbent mind. So they are just absorbing everything and you just don't know how and what form they're going to bring it out.